Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon, and welcome to Thinking Tuesday. Thank you for joining me. You know that if it's noon on Tuesday, it's time for Thinking Tuesday. I trust that you all had a very happy Thanksgiving, and I hope you had a wonderful time fellowshipping with your friends and your loved ones and being thankful for what you have. Others are not as fortunate. So we always have to remember those who are less fortunate. As I mentioned in my message last week, every day should be Thanksgiving as we show gratitude for what we have and what we're able to contribute to the lives of others. So Thanksgiving Day is not just it's only a special day that we set aside to reflect and give thanks, but we should do so every day. So every day should be Thanksgiving. Some might be questioning my statement that we should be grateful for what we have because you might be focusing on your losses. And that is very understandable because as we approach these holidays, many would be thinking about their losses. What and who have been taken from you? That is quite understandable because you do grieve losses of loved ones, relationships, lost jobs in this economy, poor health, sometimes homes. These are very, very difficult emotions to manage. But the way we ultimately respond is what will decide how we move forward. You do have to take time to experience your loss, to grieve your loss. Give yourself time to grieve whatever loss you might be experiencing. You cannot rush this process. Grief is an individual issue. Everyone does not grieve in the same way. But you might also try to find someone who you can speak to help you unburden your thoughts or your feelings. Remember the loved ones and continue to carry the good memories spawned from those relationships. That's one way in which we can deal with our grief and our losses during these times. Think on those opportunities that may be before you and how you can pursue them. Look for each resource, reach out to resources that can help you build what you had before or even build better than you had before. Honor the memory of your loved one by doing something that would carry on their legacy. That's one way of dealing with your loss at these times. Find a support group with others who may have had similar experiences, who can understand your current status and share how they're coping and how they have overcome. But whatever you do, be patient with yourself. As I said before, you can't rush this process. And find some way to take action to help you move forward. It doesn't have to be a huge step, doesn't have to be a big step, but as long as you are making a step, however small that is, to move you forward, that's a win because progress is measured by the little steps that we take. A big part of our ability to move forward is how we think. And that's why I spend so much time on Thinking Tuesday, sharing messages on how to cultivate a mindset that will serve you daily and especially in times of stress, disappointment, or during any challenging times that we might experience, because we will all have challenges in life. As long as we're living, there will be challenges, small and large in between, but they will be challenges. And we have to find strategies of how to confront and survive these challenges. Because even though they might be painful, they might be difficult to manage, they're not impossible to overcome. Some will be easier to overcome than others. Some will take time, but they're not impossible. It's also helpful to cultivate a mindset to see the opportunities for growth in our challenges. How we look at our challenges will determine how we manage them, how we move forward. And although painful and overwhelming at times, our challenges do provide opportunities for us to think differently. To think differently, that it all comes back to our thinking. But when we are feeling overwhelmed with feelings, it's very difficult to think, and that's understandable. So give yourself a chance to do experience those feelings, but you have to come back to your thinking. How can your challenges help you grow? That's a question that you might ask yourself. Instead of them defeating you, how can you use them to help you grow? The good news is that even though you might not appreciate doing it at this particular time, during the time of the challenge, the good news is that you are the author of the next chapter. You are the author of the next step. You can determine what you want from going forward. That's completely up to you. And don't try to do it alone, because sometimes it's difficult to do it alone. Our motto for Thinking Tuesday is one that can help us set our intention to face challenges and to put us on a path to move forward and beyond those challenges. We believe here, as you've always heard on Tuesday, that your mind is a garden, your thoughts are the seeds. You can grow flowers or you can grow weeds. And we know that your thoughts determine how we feel, and how we feel determines how we behave. So those thoughts, whether negative or positive, are going to determine how we feel and then how we move forward. So make sure that your thoughts are positive and not negative. They will eventually determine the actions that we take. So your thoughts will drive your feelings, and your feelings will drive those actions that you take. So spend time really thinking through what you're feeling, why you're feeling the way you're feeling, and then how you can move forward. Oftentimes we pay more attention to how we feel without paying enough attention to how we think. Being aware of our feelings is very, very important, because it calls our attention to what actions we will take. And we're quick to take action, because those feelings drive us. They can be very addictive. They can be they push us forward, or sometimes they keep us recoiled. But whether you take positive action or intentional action, or whether you recoil, you're still taking an action. So it's very important to be aware of how you're feeling, but yes, how you're thinking and how those thoughts drive your feelings. We often allow ourselves to take that journey that ultimately might not be helpful if we really don't get a hold of the thoughts that are driving our feelings. We get on a path, and because we're so involved in how we're feeling, we follow a path automatically that could take us in the wrong direction, because we are not taking time to think or to reflect on the type of thinking that got us here in the first place. So your emotions will drive your decisions, but make sure that they're driving you in the right direction. Make sure that you are giving yourself some time to think about what got you to feel the way you're feeling before you begin to take any action. Your success in making the right decision will depend on your ability to stop and think in order to understand and interpret those feelings or those emotions. Because thinking is the logical part of us. Thinking can interrupt those emotions, right? It interrupts the cycle of emotions that may be taking us in the wrong direction. So sometimes you've probably heard, if you don't know what to do in a particular situation, it's better to not do anything, just to stop Allow yourself some time to think, to determine if the decisions you're making are taking you in the right place, to the right place, or if they're not. So that's why it's so important to find someone you can trust to share your feelings and your thoughts with, someone who can be honest with you to help you sort out what are driving your feelings and find appropriate ways of managing them. There is strength. There is strength in reaching out for help. Reaching out for help does not make you weak. It just makes you more competent because you're looking for resources that you can use to help you to navigate a very difficult situation. So it's a strength. It's definitely not a weakness. And we all don't have all the answers. So as you go through this holiday season, be aware of the emotions that may be triggered and determine how you might confront them. You may choose many ways to do so. There's so many ways to do so, but here are some that you might consider. You might consider journaling your feelings. How are you feeling? How am I feeling at this time during this holiday? Journaling those feelings. If there's no one to speak to, it's good to really listen to yourself. Put those feelings down on paper. They might help to clarify what you're feeling and how to move forward. You can also do something that you enjoy doing that will take your mind off how you're feeling. Interrupt those feelings, interrupt those thoughts. Do something that is enjoyable, that you will that will bring you away from those difficult feelings and thoughts. You might also pre-plan activities. Don't wait. If you know that this time of year will trigger some feelings that are difficult to manage, pre-plan some activities with your friends or your loved ones. Take some time to take yourself away from that environment that will trigger those feelings. It doesn't mean you're running away. You're just being safe. You're protecting yourself. You're anticipating something that you know, and you're using it to help you move forward. Also, also reflect on the good and pleasant things that you have accomplished, because many times we get so caught up in our feelings that we forget about those pleasant things that we have been able to accomplish, those things that we do that make us feel good. And then, as I mentioned before, if you know that a certain environment will engender certain triggers, then you want to anticipate that and you want to remove yourself from that environment to avoid having to face those feelings that are difficult to manage. For those of you who are looking forward to continuing to fellowship with your friends and your loved ones, try to think of how you can brighten someone else's day. Someone who might not feel the same way that you do, someone who might not have what you have. How can you offer gratitude for what you have? You can do that by showing gratitude. You can show gratitude by helping someone to have a better day. That might be presenting them with something that would make them feel good, sharing a meal with them, um, uh, helping them with something that they find pleasant, spending some time with them, reading a book with them. If it's someone that you know, offering them a book that you know that they will enjoy. But think of ways in which you can brighten the day of someone who might not be having the same as pleasant experiences as you are having. So show someone that you're thinking of them even while you're having a good time with your loved ones. It's a season of gratitude. It's a season of giving. It's a season of reflecting about what we have and also sharing with others. So, as I'm talking about the word share, I'm also offering you the opportunity as you're listening to this to determine if this has brought value to you today. And if it has, then you want to share it with someone. We don't have to share only things that cost a lot of money, but there are some things that are very, very valuable that cost us little or nothing to share, but they're valuable, they're inspiring, they're motivational. So if you know of someone who can benefit from this message today, please share it with them. As you know, my previous messages can all be found on my YouTube channel, Thinking Tuesday, Cheryl Burton. I also invite you to visit my website, look at the programs and services I offer there. You might see something that would add value to you. Feel free to contact me through my website, drcherylburton.com. If you don't see something that you're looking for, then there's still no reason not to contact me. You can contact me and talk to me about what that thing is, because all of my programs and services are created and also designed to meet the needs of my clients. You can also book me to speak for your events through my website. I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at the same time on for Thinking Tuesday, the same time being noon, 12 o'clock. And I hope that you continue to enjoy the holidays, think of others who may not be in the situations that you're in, enjoying friends and relatives who may be remembering a loved one who is not here with them. Try to find some way in which you can brighten their day. Someone who may be alone because their relatives are not around, they're not in close proximity. What can you do to help them enjoy the holidays? So take care. I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at noon for another message on Thinking Tuesday. Take care and bye for now.